G'day, everybody. 200 cops. We're back again. How you going?
Yeah, mate, good. And you're doing your usual spiel before the as the countdown goes on.
Yeah, I got a
Yeah,
bit of
getting a bit
smile
of
there, mate.
laughter out of me.
Off you go. Yeah, no, very good. We're back again. It's I'm back in Hanani now, but it's bloody cold, and we're a few things to talk about. It's just me and you again tonight. So, what I love here is we've got a couple of people asking us our different opinions about things, and we've got one main topic we want to talk about that's close to our hearts and something we've spoken about over and over again. It's a very good example of what we're on about there. Um, But as you would know, the 1st of July in the Northern Territory is Cracker Night. And we've got a few comments on old Cracker Night, mate.
Yeah, mate. So apparently it was pretty wild. I was trying to think back at and then this is from a couple of coppers up in the Northern Territory got in contact with us, and said, "Oh, I bet you missed Cracker Night," and it was always fun. Cracker Night was always fun. It was always some good humour and all that sort of thing. But I'll tell you what, some of the videos, mate, is some shit I have not seen yet.
Oh,
They're
yeah.
firing crackers out of bloody witches' hats and all that sort of stuff, and actually directing it like a missile.
Oh,
Um,
yeah.
I mean, yeah, that sort of stuff gets really dangerous and all that. However, if nobody's injured, I suppose it's pretty funny. But you've always got to look out for personal safety and all that sort of stuff. And
Mate,
they
what I loved, sorry, one thing I loved about Cracker Night was police are always known you can be proactive. In policing, you go around and look for problems and all the rest of it. Well, fireys don't do that. Fireys respond to fires. The Northern Territory is the most exclusive place in Australia in that it's the only place where fireys go proactive.
yeah,
They used to get grass units driving around just looking for shit to deal with, and that's
yeah,
the closest thing fireys ever got to policing was driving around on Cracker Night, going, "There's one, boys, let's get it."
yeah.
And all the volunteers, a lot of them and beyond, all the auxiliaries and beyond, because it was pretty decent pay, and they get all the grass units out, basically a Land Cruiser with a firefighting unit on the back of it, and just go job to job to job. And the next day they go, "Holy shit, what a night!" And we go, "Welcome to our world, boys."
Yep.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Well, mate, a little bit of insight there too. Talking about the fireys up in the Northern Territory, because I remember, you always get the fires lit, especially over winter and all that.
Mm.
Yeah, through Indigenous, they do burn offs and all that sort of stuff. But you also get it around town, and one of the ones they said was, "Oh, if you see something now, we'll go and put it out straight away.
Mm.
But when it gets a little bit drier, we'll just let it burn for a bit because then that prevents more burn off later on in the season when it gets hot and windy and you can't control situations." So the fireys are actually quite disciplined about the way they actually deal with the fires, and they want
Yeah.
to basically burn off as much fuel as they can in the safe period. So then, when it comes to the more dangerous period, there's no fuel there to burn. And
No,
mate,
that's
you'd
right.
be able to give a bit of insight into that because you train firefighting now.
Oh shit, mate, how long you got? I can't give you a full rundown. When we talk about hazard reduction burns and go right into the science of that, I'll give you bloody 3 hours of an introduction. But
Yeah,
no, the territory is easy because the grass. But back to the old Cracker Day, it was just that Cracker Night. This is what's Cracker Night's awesome because it's freedom. Like Cracker Night is great. The kids have a great time, and when it's done, responsibly, relatively responsibly, it's a bloody good night out. You just need to keep your wits about you. What I love is it's the ultimate freedom. It's like, yep, no worries. You got license to blow your hands off, fellas. Go your hardest. And you know
yep,
what? Most people don't. There are always stories the next day about one person in one place did something stupid and blew their hands off. I remember where a bloke lit one and put it on his face, and the rocket took off and it actually burnt his eyeball out. Like,
yeah,
I'm sorry, mate, but you're being a dick. It's old school accountability. Like, it probably is. It's like if you
yeah.
commit this, the government said you can do this shit. If you want to, there's the possibility here to get really badly hurt, but there's also the possibility to just have a good night.
Well,
Oh,
exactly.
mate, I'm a big lover of freedom. We loved Cracker Night. It was especially when we first got up there. I mean, our early 20s, and well, you're a bit older because you're an old man, but that's all right. We had a good time. Like, it was a good time. And later years I didn't care, but then I had little kids, and we'd do stuff with them, and they thought it was the best thing ever.
Yeah.
So Cracker Night for a lot of Territorians is a massive, like, even childhood memory, and then it's just well known. The other thing with anything, if you want to make something really exciting, you ban it. So the fact that everyone's allowed to have them for that one day is a great thing. And I know it's a very polarizing subject. I always loved it. A lot of people hate it. It scares the shit out of every dog in the territory. There's a lot of vets they stock up on Valium, on veterinary Valium for that night because a lot of people sedate their dogs and all the rest of it. It's like, yeah, you know what? Yes, but it's one night. It's not like it's constant. It's one night. And yeah, there's shit that happens either side of it. And I would throw it back and say, the vast majority of the Northern Territory had a really good night on the 1st of July. And those mad bastards who are doing stupid shit and endangering people's lives, well, if you shoot a big heap of powerful fireworks into a crowd, well, I would say you're recklessly endangering serious harm.
Yep.
And that's a hell of a charge. So that's a criminal offence, and away you go. That's no problem. And I know there's resources involved and all the rest of it. If you just banned it, yeah, no worries. Well, why don't we just ban cars? Because they kill a lot of people. And why don't we just ban this and ban that? And we all just sit in our houses and wrap ourselves in cotton wool. Like, at what point do we go, let humans be humans, deal with the offences, deal with the problems? And I think that's, I don't know, mate, I'm a bit of a libertarian when it comes to that. It's like if you rape people, you murder people, you rape and kill a child, you should hang from the neck until dead, as far as I'm concerned. There should be severe penalties for actual offending, and then there should be a bit of deregulation. And if you are doing something that's a legal thing, but it's got an element of risk to it, and you cause, through your actions, an injury to another person, that you're going to jail, my boy. If you shoot fireworks into a crowd on Mitchell Street, you are going to jail. And to me, that's a serious crime. Hunt that shit down, because they're endangering a territory tradition like that. To me, anyway, that's my opinion.
Mate, look, I'd agree with that. And look, some of actually we're going to talk about tonight is personal responsibility.
Yeah.
And look, I think it really needs to come back. Like you said, are we going to wrap everybody in cotton wool? Because some society expects that. But then how do you gain experience?
Yeah.
So you're sitting there going, well, you tie everybody up and wrap them up in cotton wool, and then humanity doesn't move forward.
No.
And you've got to, but the problem is, I think in these days, a lot of the time is the responsibility gets put on other agencies.
Yes.
Where it should come back to the person.
Yeah.
And I think this is probably a good segue. We've got some other stuff to talk about afterwards.
Yeah.
But I think, we're talking about accountability in the police, and we've mentioned 100 times before. This is just a story or, an incident that happened. And we're just going to discuss and go into a bit more finer detail in relation to it. And I think it is actually probably the perfect time to segue into it, mate. So do you want to crack off onto basically our main topic for tonight?
Yeah, so we've been asked by a couple of people to discuss the matter of Sergeant Ben Bryant from New South Wales Police. So just for those who aren't completely aware of it, he's a sergeant of police who was responding in a group of police to a 16-year-old male who was riding a stolen motorbike, and there was also allegations he'd carried out some home invasions, things like that as well. So we're not chasing a kid for stealing a bottle of Coke, right? We've got a decent offender here. And the allegation is that he parked his motor vehicle across an entrance into it sounds like an intersection, intersection or something similar. And what's happened is the offender's ridden his motorbike, crashed into the police car, and as a result died of his injuries. So in the beginning, the information I had there was that there wasn't a lot. It was kind of like, no, it hasn't been caused by him, and that was kind of okay. But then it's gone back through and charges have been laid through the DPP, and he's now been charged with dangerous driving occasioning death, with a backup charge of negligent driving, through several distinct actions. So basically, they've charged him with dangerous driving causing death.
Yeah.
I'll just go through a couple of things that the DPP came out with. So the first major thing they played up with was creating an unauthorised roadblock. Prosecution argued that Bryant intentionally positioned and parked his unmarked police car directly in front of the path of an oncoming trail bike. By using his vehicle as a barrier or obstruction at the intersection, he created an unsafe obstacle. Okay? Operating without warning signals. Bryant parked the unmarked vehicle at the end of the bike path, not intersection, without activating his emergency police lights or sirens, failing to properly alert the teenager of other road users to the hazard, blah, blah, blah. Defying direct police orders. The Crown emphasised that Bryant was fully aware of an explicit police directive not to engage in a pursuit of the allegedly stolen trail bike. The prosecution alleged that by placing his vehicle in the teen's path to intercept him, he actively disobeyed that operational command. And then foreseeable risk. The prosecution maintained that as a highly experienced police veteran of over 22 years, Bryant should have known that blocking a speeding motorbike would create an immediate high-risk scenario for a critical collision. All right. So he's been charged, he's been found guilty, and he's been sentenced to, wait for it, 2 years imprisonment, suspended immediately with 500 hours community service and basically what's called a intensive correction order. So he's now going to be basically treated like a criminal in the community that lots and lots of non-police people are sentenced to, where they are now interacting with corrections and community-based corrections officers on what would probably be a daily basis. So we just want to break it down and go, yeah, okay, he parked a police car and a bloke crashed into it on a stolen bike and died. At what point do you want your police to act? Do you want your police to apprehend these people and stop them? And at what point do you want them to just let them go because we can't possibly endanger themselves, although they are massively endangering themselves anyway?
Yeah.
What if it had been there was just a car parked at the end of there and at the end of that bike path and he crashed into that with no one in it? Well, that was all he's doing. 16-year-old kid, obviously up to no good. Piece of shit, let's be honest about it.
Yeah.
Has stolen the motorbike and gone from there, and who knows what his criminal history is. It's not relevant. But at what point do you go, righto, well, this police sergeant who was trying to protect the community from what is a criminal actively committing active offences, he is now held accountable for, it's not that he actually rammed the motorbike. He didn't actually intend to cause any harm to this kid. It's just that he parked the bike there to actually create a level of containment to try and get this organised. And as a result, this kid's now crashed his motorbike and died. I'll also talk about in court when it was in the 4-hour sentencing remarks made by the judge, which is to me is extraordinary. 4 hours of sentencing remarks. Apparently quite a time before she stated that he was not going immediately to jail, he said that it hits the threshold of a custodial sentence, so actually being sentenced to imprisonment. And apparently the criminal's supporters in court have, with some wearing all coppers are bastard shirts and Aboriginal flags and all the rest of it, have then cheered and yelped and basically started to antagonise Bryant while he's still sitting in the dock, only to then be quite angry about the fact he wasn't going immediately into prison. It's like, why did you let criminals or supporters of criminals carry on in a court without being held in contempt?
Yep.
Let's be honest here. And then more to our point is that you have basically emboldened more people to go out and just be criminal scum. And race is not relevant. I don't care who you are. If you're riding a stolen motorbike and the police are trying to contain you and you crash and die, 100% on you. 100% on you. The police are literally doing their job. Can you imagine a hairdresser being charged for cutting hair? Like, at what point? They're doing their job. Their job is, and it's a dangerous job. Police die more regularly than it should occur. In the United States, it occurs a hell of a lot more. But over here, it occurs enough that it's not great. For these criminals to be carrying out dangerous acts, that should have been, no, Sergeant Bryant has parked his motor vehicle in order to create some level of containment, to try and apprehend this absolute criminal who's continuing to victimise the community. And as a result of that, the conduct of the offender has caused that person's death. Yep. Simple as that. So it blows my mind. It really does. What do you want cops to do? It should be now. We basically don't deal with traffic matters because there's a danger that someone's going to drive away. Yeah. It all harks back to what we were talking about. The personal responsibility needs to be pushed off government agencies with authority back into the public. It should have been, so you were riding a stolen motorbike really fast and you crashed into a parked police car that was unmarked. So you just crashed into our car. Yeah. Sorry.
Yep, that's it.
By, different story. I understand if he'd have driven the car out directly in front of the motorbike and that had caused a very serious impact, that's different. That's
Yep.
probably pushing towards reckless. However, if he's just parked the vehicle there and then sometime later the motorbike's crashed into him, that to me is just ridiculous.
Yep.
What are we doing? What are we doing?
Yeah. Well, mate, and this is the thing. I've pushed it a long time, even when I was in the police. Unfortunately, personal responsibility is not put on people. And we like, just to digress a little bit. The fact I like drinking. Drinking was put on the establishments for people over
Mm,
drinking and all that sort of thing. Well, okay, and drink driving and all this
mm,
sort of stuff. Well, where's the person? They're the ones that actually bought that beer. They're the
mm,
ones that actually drank and drove and put other people's lives at risk. Where is their accountability in this?
mm.
And this is it, it just really annoyed me that they go after all these other agencies and especially police when you make decisions trying to protect the public and then you get your ass handed to you.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's funny you mentioned licensing. Um, why is it that we put adult human beings who are just trying to run a business and provide an entertainment precinct? Why all of a sudden are they there to police the alcohol intake of other adults?
Yeah.
I'm sorry. We've gone way too far down there. Oh, there's big responsibility on the people making money. No. If I go out and get pissed and punch someone in the head, I should go to prison. If I
Yep.
go out and I damage property because I'm drunk, I go to prison. If I'm a recidivist drunken idiot, the court should be able to say, you're not allowed to drink piss. If the cops turn up next to you and go, what's your name? Blow in that, and I blow over when the court's ordered that I can't drink because of my previous conduct showing that I'm a piece of shit when I drink grog, I should be
Yep.
banned.
Yep.
It needs to go back to the people causing the problems. The overwhelming majority of society will go out on a night out and just have a good night, have a few drinks. They might have too many drinks and might get a bit sick, all the rest of it. But at no point are they going to harm anybody. The people who go out, and quite often they're repeat offenders, and I'm saying that from a little bit of experience, just quietly. Those people who go out, get on the booze, they know that they get filthy on the piss, and they carry on, and they like to fight people and carry on like dickheads. Well, consequences should flow at those people.
Yep.
You know,
But
at what point is a 23-year-old bar girl? Why is she responsible for the conduct of a 43-year-old former copper who happens to be a drunken dickhead? Talking about myself.
yeah.
So why should that girl be responsible for my conduct? She's not responsible for my conduct.
Yep.
Even the act of cutting off someone from a drink can create conflict that police are armed to the teeth to deal with. We can create conflict, no worries, because we're the hard stop. No, you're not allowed to do that, and we're going to stop you from doing that right now. If you continue, you will be arrested. You're going to make me, and then we've got force multipliers that allow us to do that. Why
Yep.
should we make someone in a pub? To me, the whole responsible service of alcohol has gone way too far.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's yeah,
Mate, yeah, look, I totally agree. It just needs to come back to personal responsibility. And
yeah,
look, we spoke about this in relation to the police as well. If you look at most of those bars, pubs, bottle-os, all that sort of thing, if you look at the thousands and thousands of people that will go through that shop a day and not cause any harm to public, any harm to anyone else, it's a minor percentage
yeah,
that create this problem. And yet they're actually criticizing or enforcing the general public because of few idiots' behavior.
yeah. So what
Like,
happens is you get lots and lots of people who are, in accordance to the regulation, committing very minor offences, drunken, all this sort of thing, and they are accumulatively being prosecuted for that through tickets or restriction or whatever else. You've got your hardcore group, and we're talking low-level stuff here. We're talking offending within, licensed premises, whatever else. You've got those people who are properly causing no problem. They should be causing big problems. They should be dealt with severely to the point where you're banned from pubs for 5 years. And if you enter a licensed premises, you will be going to prison for a month. If you assault somebody while under the influence of alcohol, given your previous offending and your previous alcohol orders, that will be an aggravating factor to your offence, and you should expect a lengthy prison sentence. If we actually started putting the proper bad guys in jail, everything else would be
yeah,
fine.
yeah,
This is where it is. And this is honest. And people, oh, no, you can't. I'm telling you, it works. When you put the bad guys in jail, shit gets better for everybody
Yep.
else.
Mate, look, I can guarantee that, and I can give a few examples. I mean, we've always spoken about the revolving door. When you're at bush, there's less than 10% of the population that are currently in court every 3 months,
Yeah.
because that's when court happens out there. Same people committing the same offences. And look, for everybody listening, this is how ridiculous it is. You can just about bring up their last statement of facts, change the date, time,
Yeah.
usually the same location,
Yeah.
and submit it in a new file
Yep.
because they haven't been dealt with properly
Yeah.
at the first instant.
Yep.
So if you want to talk about police resources, well, how about bloody actually doing proper sentences
Yeah.
for these people? Because that would actually lighten up. Please, I remember one stage I was out at Borroloola, and I was quite a big person in actually getting people in custody and all that. And I remanded 9 people in a week
Yeah.
going away. I remember the town was quiet for 2 weeks
Yeah.
just because they're not out there committing
Not
offences,
there.
and the town suddenly knew there was consequences for their actions.
Yeah. So don't do what Uncle such and such did, because Uncle such and such is now sitting in Holt's prison because you can't beat Auntie up like that.
Yep.
So instead of it just, he's bailed to appear to the next time, and then you arrest him the second time and he's on bail for another matter, but now he's getting remanded for this matter. No. Bang, remand. Away you go. This is talking the higher end, but you're 100% right. Excuse me. It was that tiny little minority. If you smash them, and society's pretty good.
Yep.
The broken windows policy. We've gone off on a bit of a segue, but that's okay because it's all relevant. It all relates to personal responsibility.
Yeah.
You can't turn it, oh, yeah, well, no, I bloody did this. And no, you've committed the offences. That's it. You're done. I used to have this argument, and I'm not condoning drink driving, but it's like people used to, I had an argument with a traffic cop about this one time.
Yeah.
Two blokes, they've had 15 schooners each, and they walk out the front of the pub. One bloke's going to get in his car and sneak home the back way and get home and just go to bed. The other bloke comes out the front, punches out a window, and then walks home. Who's the worst person? And the traffic cop said, well, the drink driver's far more dangerous. And look, this is going to create an argument. This will be polarising. I don't care. That's happy days. To me, what's their intention?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm not condoning the conduct of the drink driver, but I'm saying his intention now is he's had a couple of beers, he's going to get in his car and he's going to poke home the back way and get home. The bloke who walks out the front full of piss and wind and punches out a window is a piece of shit. He's just damaged someone else's property. His intention was to cause harm to another person or to other people. Sure, their property, but he's still creating a problem for other people and costing other people money and all the rest of it. And then stagger his drunken ass home on foot, probably causing more problems as he went. So to me, it all came back to their intent. Once again, I'm not condoning old mate driving home after 15 schooners, but what I'm saying is there's an intention there to do something. And the first person, his intention is to travel home. Irresponsibly, yes, but he's travelling home. The second person, his intention is to be a piece of shit. Yeah. And that's where, to me, it is to kick off. And that's just, my opinion. That'll create good debate. I'd love to see the comments on that.
Oh, yeah, mate. That's going to be actually fantastic because everyone's got...
I'll even start predicting them. It's like, well, the person drink driving could run over your kids and blah, blah, blah. Not at 2 o'clock in the morning, mate. My kids, because I'm personally responsible, have been in bed for 6 hours at 2 o'clock in the morning. So, no, it's not my, no, they won't be running over my kids. They could crash into your house. It's like, yep, and that'll be on him. 100% correct. I'm not saying personal responsibility, but I'm talking about the intent and, what's their intent.
Yep.
The bloke who walked out the front, he could have walked home. He didn't have to punch the window. Didn't have to punch the person. You walk out, I love this because I spoke to a Texas NCIS cop, which they're civilians, but the Naval Criminal Investigation Service in the US military. They were in Catherine and we were talking to him. And he goes, if you walk out the front of a pub in Texas drunk and you punch someone in the head because you're just an angry drunk, you will go to jail for 10 years. And I was like, yes. Now, that's it. You get drunk as you like. If you just go home and you're fine, don't get me wrong, drink driving, they'll come down on it. And fair enough. Probably a bad example. But anyway, it was all about if you're very, very drunk, but you're just trying to get yourself home and you're doing the right thing and you're not trying to hurt anyone else, no problem. The second you start victimising people, you're going to jail, boy. And it's simple as that. So,
Well,
yeah,
there's actually one thing I do like about the US, and I think Australia should consider it, is the fact that if police get involved in a pursuit,
mm,
every action that happens, whether it's a police car running over somebody and killing them, is the fault of that person
yeah,
that actually evaded police. And I
exactly
think
right.
that is putting personal responsibility on the people that do these actions.
Yeah.
And I'm a big believer in that, and that will probably get
Oh,
some
mate,
people talking.
100%. Because if
Yep,
you, and we've had this where people have been killed by stolen motor vehicles. Alice Springs, classic example. About 20, I was in Trident, my guys were down there. So 2019, there was a bloke on a motorbike run over by a stolen car full of youths and killed at an intersection in Alice Springs. So there's a crime scene set up there, and they're still actively trying to chase these kids down. And I remember one of the watch commanders got chipped for saying, ram that vehicle off the road, put that vehicle into submission.
yep,
We're talking about lethal use of force here. Like, he was basically saying, stop them. I don't
yep,
care what caliber you need to stop them. Stop them. If you stop them with a car, that's cool. If you stop them with a Glock, that's cool. Stop them. I completely agree with him.
yep, definitely.
They've
You're putting
already
other
killed him.
people's lives at risk.
Yeah, they've already killed
Like,
one. I'm sorry. Job's on.
yep,
Remove that vehicle from the road violently, and
yep,
then violently apprehend them. Make sure they are taken into custody. Protect the community
yep.
violently. And that's the thing. It was, oh God, how is this complicated?
Oh no, it's not.
Yeah,
No, no. I mean, yeah, mate. It's just absolutely ridiculous how and this again goes back to the accountability by police. Do you know what? We're there to stop a crime. We're there to
yeah,
protect the public. If an offender dies during
yeah,
that, it's always, well, most of the time from their own actions.
that's right. Yep,
So they're the ones that chose to do that action. They're the ones in that spur of the moment, whatever, and they expect police to be able to sit there and go, oh, we can, in a split second, figure out the best way to actually approach this and think about the, repercussions and this, that, and the other. The police officer's intention in that time is to actually stop danger from happening.
yep,
If the offender is injured, killed, maimed, or brought into custody without any incident,
yeah,
they've done their job.
that's right.
So,
Yeah.
yeah,
And I just, to finish off the Sergeant Bryant thing. So to me, it's just, once again, it's just the responsibility of an offender being put onto a police officer who was just trying to do not pursue. Well, he didn't. He
no,
basically locked a.
yeah,
So once again, they're being held accountable for the actions of another person. I know it was a youth, but who really knows how old the offender is at the time? You've got a stolen motorbike. 16-year-olds can be 6 foot tall.
yep.
So I would argue he probably didn't know exactly who they were dealing with. I don't know that for sure. But at what point do you want your police just to do nothing? Because
Well,
once again, then you'd be screaming about the police doing nothing. So damned if you do, damned if you don't.
well,
And sorry, you go.
yeah, mate. I was just going to say, like, okay, well, I've had a 14-year-old which is over 6 foot and
Mm,
extremely violent, and you can see him progressing into being a much harder criminal later on.
yeah,
All police have actually seen youths that continue to reoffend, and then you get some that are brought into line because there's some significant stop by police
mm,
that basically changes their behaviour.
yeah,
It happens both ways, um, but the yeah, the thing is that youth would have, if he's up to stealing, breaking into places, stealing a motor vehicle, whatever the allegations are, he's already had intervention by police.
mm,
He's then chosen to disregard that intervention.
yeah,
He's then disregarded any lesson that the public has tried to teach him in leading up to that. So he has actually got education on
yeah.
what's right and what's wrong.
Oh, yeah,
So, and this is the whole thing about the youth, like raising the age of criminal responsibility. Most of these youths have so much bloody criminal history, they know
yeah.
exactly what's right and wrong.
Mate, the ones in custody, we're not talking about some stupid little 10-year-old going in and pinching a bag of lollies and then going to jail. That does not happen
No.
anywhere in this country. That does not occur. When they have, and this is no exaggeration because I used to approve the prosecution files, when they've got a criminal history of 236 proven matters through the court, not to mention all the shit they got away with, and those allegations include 50 unlawful use of a motor vehicle, drive manner dangerous, aggravated robbery. Aggravated robbery is life imprisonment, mate. If me
Yes.
and you went out and committed an aggravated robbery right now, we would not see bail. We would not be on bail.
No.
But these kids had committed multiple, to the point where they didn't even go to jail until they were already on bail for an aggravated robbery with an unlawful use of a motor vehicle and blah, 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 and multiple unlawful entry of occupied dwelling houses at night. All these kinds of extremely serious offending, on bail for that, and then do a spate of the same offending, and then maybe get remanded for a couple of weeks before they have another court date where they bring in some further measures. They get completely ignored, and then they go out and keep doing the same thing. So, and that's where I would argue it's like, at what point do you go, well, you said this driving dangerously is dangerous and it's going to cause harm to the community. Well, this kid does it every single time he's at liberty. So at what point do we have a hard stop and we go, no, this kid needs to go in, and they need to stay in, and they need a custodial sentence? And I'm not saying we don't do intensive courses and corrective courses and things like that once they're in custody. We're talking about youth detention here. We're not talking about jail, which is adult prison. So at what point does that not like, no, we need to remove this kid from society because society is now massively at risk because of the conduct of this youth.
Yeah.
So it's, mate, when they're at 236 crim history, just quietly, I don't know how much rehabilitation is going to occur either, but,
Well, and funny you actually mentioned that, and this is a case both you and I were involved in where they stole a car over in WA, went across the border, broke into a number of locations on the way. We're the ones that actually, a group of us, but you and I were involved in it, catching them in Catherine. And I remember I think he was almost 14 or 14, so quite young. And no, he was younger than that. He was 12, sorry. Yes, so he was almost 12. And he had a criminal history, 136 long from memory off the top of my head. We got him remanded in custody. And we then rang WA police in Kununurra and said, look, we've just got these boys. We've just remanded them in custody. And they said, well, that's the first night they've ever actually spent in custody. We remanded, I think there was 8 of them.
Yeah, I remember that.
We remanded all 8. There was only one who was 18. All the rest were 10 and up.
Yeah.
And they were just sitting there going, mate, we keep on bringing them before the court and they keep on letting them go.
It's almost positive reinforcement, training them to be better crooks. It's like if you were to nip it in the bud real early on. I'm talking purely from a police and policing, and the court system policing should apprehend, bring before the court. That's it. When it comes to, and of course, engagement and all the rest of it, of course, and preventative stuff, that happens beforehand. But when it comes to how do we deal with these kids, go to court, and then it should be the role of other departments to actually take these kids with a level of authority and actually make sure that the offending stops. If other departments aren't capable of that, the Department of, I think it was Youth Justice, who dealt with it. So it wasn't even corrections. But, I mean, corrections are perfectly capable of dealing with youth offenders. That to me, would be the most appropriate place for your very serious offenders, not for your bloody kids pinching a bag of lollies and from the local corner store. That's a parenting thing. Righto, the lollies have been returned or the lollies have been eaten. Maybe have a good chat to this kid. Righto, second offence. Righto, mum and dad, this kid's starting to be a shop thief. Let's bloody nip that in the bud. If they're all caught in a stolen motor vehicle, well, straight away to me, that is, righto, we need critical intervention here, because stealing a motor vehicle and driving around is extraordinarily dangerous and it's not acceptable at all. And we need to treat the first offence as very serious. When they've done it 300 times, I'm sorry, you're gone.
Yeah.
Like, you have proven that you are way too dangerous for society. You're out.
Yep.
If you're going to roam the streets of Melbourne with a machete, you're gone.
Yep.
I'm sorry. At what point is this acceptable? And we probably need to start looking at a few other avenues of what we're going to do with you to protect the general society. No, I'm sorry. Well, of course, we try and teach kids the right from wrong, but at what point does the transition happen? We are here to protect society because you're already a dangerous member of society.
Yeah. And mate, then you go on to His Honour Erd, Well, the
Oh
fact
yeah,
that, okay, accountability. Police have all the accountability in the world. What
mm,
about the courts?
yeah,
Well, it's your responsibility to make sure
mm,
this action doesn't continue on. We've
yeah,
done the work and the investigation to bring all the allegations to court, which are
yeah,
proven by facts.
yeah, yeah,
And if you're not doing your job and you let them go out and reoffend, well, that's on you.
yeah. Absolutely. Are you going to vouch for that, Your Honour? Are you going to make
Yeah.
that call? Put your signature on that line because we're going to hold you accountable for manifestly inadequate sentencing, and as a
Yep.
result, endangering the community. And that's where that comes back. And it's
And
almost time where legislation goes prescriptively. No, this is what the sentence is for that. And that's another great point. I'm going to have a lot of people onto me there. Lawyers hate that shit. It'll be on because lawyers
yep.
like to argue in court, and of course the legal industry needs money, so of course they want to argue in court.
Yep.
But that doesn't protect society really. So
Well, I'll just give a quick example, mate. When I was working in family and domestic violence unit, we arrested this offender in relation to he was flogging his wife over the head with a brick. To the fact that she was intensive care because she had her hands trying to protect her head. There was broken fingers, fractured skull, all that sort of stuff. We had a statement in relation to one of his mates who was drinking with him that day, saying he was going to kill his wife that night. And anyway, put him to court. He got bail. Conditions not to drink, blah, blah, blah. Within 24 hours, we had arrested him again. And the only reason that got found out, police were called to a disturbance. And they went there. There was a whole lot of people drinking. They said, can we have a walkthrough, make sure everybody's safe? Yes, they can. They found her out the backyard, gurgling blood, almost at death's door because she'd been stabbed with a shovel about 5 times.
yeah,
And kudos to the police for actually doing their job and doing a walkthrough, making sure everybody's safe. And it was him. He had breached every single condition that judge had put on him.
yep,
And then, and then just gone out on the drink, basically straight from court, on the drink, and then tried to do it again.
yeah,
So my bail con was absolutely smashing on the magistrate that actually allowed that to happen.
yeah,
And he got remanded from then on,
yeah,
which was lucky. However, it should have never got to that. What if she died?
yeah.
It was police intervention that actually prevented her from dying.
Oh, mate, and there's 1,000 instances. Oh, how long you got? Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. There's so many times where that's been the case. So we've had people come out. I remember Tennant Creek, one instance where very similar. We had a very high risk offender bailed by the courts, and we've gone, this can't possibly occur. Like, and we need this. This guy will go out and reoffend within an hour. Like, it's going to be that serious. He was only out of prison 2 days, and we'd locked him up for some serious. I can't remember exactly what it was, but I just remember what stirred my memory was the seriousness of him leaving court without being in custody. And anyway, he's out and about. And I remember he went to the pub and started drinking straight away. We didn't know about it. We found this out later when he got arrested for further offending 3 hours later. Got in a huge fight and started trying to stab people with a smashed off stubby bottle inside the pub. Now, he'd been told, obviously, no alcohol, no this, no that, can't go here, can't enter a licensed premises, can't go anywhere near this house, can't be associated with these people. Well, that's who he was drinking with. Same thing. He just, no offense, there's no, who gives a shit? Off we go.
Yeah.
So, literally, it happened to be the first day of court where he appeared, and then this was the second day of court. We've remanded him overnight to appear in court in Tennant Creek the next day. And he was then that afternoon before the same magistrate who'd bailed him the day before. We'll never forget that because a heap of us set up the back and just went to the prosecutor, you can't accept this person being bailed. And the magistrate was almost embarrassed and basically remanded them immediately for further offending and for breach of the previous bail. But, mate, that happens constantly. And the society has no idea about this. Society doesn't know about courts. It really
No.
don't. The average law-abiding citizen doesn't know the first thing about criminal court matters.
Yeah, mate, if we actually went on and actually spoke about all the cases that
Yeah.
are similar to that, mate, this would be a 100-hour bloody episode.
Yeah.
It's just ridiculous.
But to wrap it back around and then go, and I'll just bring it back to Sergeant Bryant again, Ben Bryant. So it comes back to him literally performing his duty, holding another person accountable for their actions, and he's now being treated as the criminal. What I found disgusting about it was yeah, okay, he's been found guilty of drive motor vehicle cause death and sentenced to 2 years imprisonment, suspended immediately with 500 hours community service. What about his 22 years of previous policing service? Hasn't he done his time? Like, that's just, anyway, it just irks me. But society needs to understand this, because at what point will a decent boss will come out and make policy that basically neuter the police? And it's like, we can't do anything. Society's going to burn to the ground. You need to elect new leaders that bring in new laws that actually allow us to do our job, because at this stage we can't. So the policy is we don't chase cars, we don't chase kids, we don't chase crooks. Well, that person went on and burgled another 5 houses and murdered the person. Yep. Yeah, we know. But we're not allowed to chase them. So sorry about that. Change the rules. You need to vote for new people to make the laws that actually protect their community, because at this stage, police can only operate inside the law. So at what point does it get to you go, right, so the law says that, does it? Well, the policy is, as the Commissioner of Police, I now protect my police officers. Here's the policy, and here's why I'm doing it. Legislative outcomes in court have condemned police officers for acting what I thought was reasonably in the past. My directive now is that we don't do this, we don't do that under any circumstances. If you do, you'll face disciplinary action. And the reason being is because I cannot guarantee your legal safety if you carry on like this. And just let the cops quit, because for one, you've got motivated people in there who want to be cops. And secondly, let society burn a bit. And then let them realise they need to vote in people who actually know what they're talking about.
Yeah, mate, exactly. And the problem is they're actually hampering a lot of junior police. They're getting in trouble for minor indiscretions. Mainly, look, a lot of it is through lack of senior partners and all that sort of thing. And this is a big problem when you get so many new recruits in and all this and the other. However, like you and I have both rocked up to incidents when we were sergeants or somebody in control of an incident, and you rock up and you see junior police apprehensive about making a decision because they're afraid of repercussions. And you cannot have that as a police officer. You have to make a decision and run with it and deal with it through your educated experience. But however, you know the law, you know what you're allowed to do. But I saw people actually hands off not wanting to arrest someone because they were afraid of repercussions. And we come in and go, grab them for this, and we lock them all up. And you can see the relaxation on their face because somebody else has taken responsibility. That, as a senior copper, is your job.
That's right.
To smooth it down. But back in, we had good senior partners, a lot of us back in the day. So we knew what we could do and what we couldn't, and we would apprehend people straight away. And there's nothing stopping you, if you believe somebody has committed offence, apprehending them. If they then find out it wasn't them, it was their mate, let them go.
Yeah, release from custody.
If you believe on reasonable grounds at the time, you can apprehend that person while investigations are continuing.
Yeah, yep.
So it's, mate, it's...
we should call this one a good rant. A good rant.
Yeah. It got us both going.
Oh, yeah. But, mate, we should move on to the other side of things. We had a few other things you wanted to do at the end.
Yes, mate. Yes, definitely. Mate, one of the things we wanted to talk about was, look, this is one thing I'm very happy about. We've got a couple of people about to join the police that have contacted us through different things. And then basically after hearing a shout out we gave to one about to join the police, he said, I'm actually in the same intake up in Darwin. And I'd love if we could converse and all that, So you've got somebody that's a friend, when you actually rock up at police recruitment and being a probie police officer, or not a probie, a trainee police officer. And, mate, so, and I spoke to both of them. They're happy to exchange their details. And now, they're catching up and talking about, what it's going to be like. And they've got somebody to bounce off, which I think is both good for friendship, camaraderie, but also probably mental health, because it can be quite daunting joining the police.
Oh yeah, definitely, yeah. No, that's actually, I'm pretty proud of that. So the two ordinary cops have tied up two ordinary cops together before they even become ordinary cops.
That's right.
That's great. Yeah.
Yeah.
And no,
So,
we love that
that's
stuff. So yeah, look, more people. If you want to join the coppers, get in touch with us because we know a few people now, Schultzy, from
well, we
multiple
do, mate.
jurisdictions.
I'll tell you what, mate. It's almost getting out of control. I'm going to have to take
Yeah,
this on a full time job. It's
yeah,
the messages
yeah,
that come in, and like and between us we do 6 jobs, so
yeah,
you're always continually bouncing around, and then you got families and
yeah.
responsibilities and all this sort of stuff. But look, we love doing this.
Mm.
It's something we started 18 months ago, or no, 2.5 years
Over to
ago.
you.
Holy
Over to
shit!
you, mate. Yeah. 2.5 years. Yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, look, and we like the feedback, and a lot of people said how important it is, even really old coppers that are listening to it, which is
Mate, we
which is
had I
a
won't
big
name
boost.
into this, but we had a very good old mate of ours, both of us, get in touch with me in the last few weeks, and he just said, "I just love the fact you and Schultzy haven't changed, mate. You're still the same old blokes. He's still a serving member up in the NT from our squad. So he's 19 years. He'll be 20 years in February, and he's just gone, no, boys, you're still telling it how it is. So if that's coming from the current rank and file with 20 years experience. So
Yep.
that's what I love that because that gives it credibility. People could just turn around and go, "What were you pair of dickheads know?" And fair enough, say that. But yeah, we mightn't know. We'll find out. We got thick skin. We'll soon work it out. But that to me is good, and not even that. Even other people, another detective sergeant getting in touch and just saying, "Oh, really, really love that episode. Keep up the good work." And she's
Yep.
a superstar. So people like that keeps us going. That's why we keep plugging away, especially that level of support like that. That credibility to us is like, no, we're still speaking the right. We're still talking about the right things. We're not outdated. And we've even had that said as like, boys, the stuff you're talking about now was what we used to do in Catherine in 2008, 2009. That's not the police force
Yep.
anymore. And correct. And that's where we're not right. But I think a lot of the fundamentals never change. So
No.
that's where
Well,
it's,
a lot
yeah,
of people have actually said it's the same problem reoccurring.
yeah,
A lot of what we actually talk about is the same shit that we dealt with back in the
mm,
day. Policing has changed significantly, and look, honestly, I think I wouldn't say for the worse. It's adjusted. However, it needs to actually come back to just good old level community policing.
oh, yeah,
Where they're allowed to do their job, because the more you put handcuffs on the police, the more the criminals are going to get away with stuff.
yeah,
It
yeah,
that's it's I mean that's history. We'll teach you that.
absolutely.
Um,
And look, once again, we preface all this with nothing simple. All right, there are coppers who do the wrong thing. We know that. It's not that. It's that you need to let the good cops do their job and make criminals pay for what they do. And it's not. I don't think it's that complicated, Schultzy.
no, exactly
Yeah.
right.
Mm.
Mate, I think it's probably time to actually go into the extra sauce on the burger. What do you
The
reckon?
first extra sauce on the burger, Schultzy, and it's a perler. And what I love
It
about it
is.
is the recipient will have absolutely no idea. So this is
Yep.
good. If you want to read it out, mate,
And
you
Damo, we can't mention who it came from. Um,
no,
uh,
no,
only because he'll just get shit.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. So, no, an anonymous person has nominated this person. It might become obvious who nominated them when we start to read out who it is, but that's all right. So, Schultzy, do you want to read out the first? This is great. This is the first sauce on the burger. I know it's not a medal for gallantry, but it certainly is a bottle of Big Camo sauce for being just above and beyond and just being an outstanding human at work and a bloody good copper.
Yep, mate. So I'm going to read this out. All right. I'd like to nominate Joel Davison, OSC of Mount Isa Dog Squad, for the Extra Sauce on the Burger Award. Joel is one of those blokes who somehow manages to give more than he gets. While the rest of us are trying to justify skipping leg day, Joel is out using his own body as a fundraising platform. He spent years taking brutal physical challenges to raise money for charities like RFDS and for police families doing it tough. Whether it's running hundreds of kilometres over a month, grinding through punishing gym challenges, or dreaming up the next ridiculous endurance event, Joel has always put himself first through the pain so someone else can benefit. The thing that makes Joel special isn't just what he does. It's that he keeps doing it. Even after enduring unimaginable personal tragedy a couple of years ago, he never turned inwards. If anything, he doubled down on helping others. At work, he's exactly what you want leading the Mount Isa dog squad. Calm, professional, always at the pointy end when things need doing. Outside of work, he's proof that policing isn't just about catching crooks, it's about looking after your community and the police family around you. Joel would probably hate being nominated, which is another reason why he deserves it. He's a bloke who quietly adds the extra sauce to everyone else's burger and never expects anyone to notice.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that to me is an absolutely perfect recipient of the very first ever extra sauce on the burger award.
Definitely.
So, Joel, I think what we'll do is we don't need to get personal details. What we might do is a package is going to turn up at the Mount Isa police station. And yeah, that's what it is. And I'm sure he'll work it out eventually how it's happened.
That's right.
So, yeah,
And look,
that's really
Joel,
good.
if you want to get in contact with us, mate, just get in contact with us and ask. So you've got the Texas barbecue, you got the apple, you got the pineapple, or you got the mango flavour sauce. So let us know your preference, and we'll send it straight out to you.
And they're all awesome. They really are.
They
And I'm
are.
objectively saying that. I've used all of them now, and they're spot on. So yeah, it's really good. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, mate. I'd drink it like water. So does my missus. She loves it. So
Yeah.
mate,
So
it's
good.
bloody good sauce.
Yeah, and
So
that's we also love low slow roasting meat, so it's not hard for us to get through a bit of it. But that's all good. So, mate, I think that's good. Finishing off, I love the fact we always finish off on a high because we can talk doom and gloom, and everyone does, and we can sit around and be blokes in a bar drinking and whinging, or we could go, look, there's a problem, here's a solution. And I think that's what we're trying to do here. But I love the fact that we still get to reward people for just being good bloody humans. So I'm really
exactly.
happy about that.
And going
Yeah.
above and beyond, mate, because
Oh,
that's
yeah.
what we're about. Yep.
Well,
Yeah,
mate, it
helping out
happens
those
so
people
regularly.
around you.
There are so many people that went above and beyond constantly. And I think if the department's not going to tap them on the back, we'll send them a bottle of barbecue sauce. That's better than nothing.
Exactly.
So
Yep.
happy days. And yeah, once
Yep.
again, Big Camo, mate, and he loves it. Big Camo's all about the positivity. He wanted to be completely associated with positive stuff. So
Yep.
yeah, really happy with that. But I don't think
And
that'll probably do us, mate. I don't think we need to keep bashing the drum.
no, mate, no. I think we've bashed it enough tonight, and both you and I have gone on a rant. Usually it's just you, but I got a bit involved
Yeah.
in it too there because I got a bit passionate. Yeah, mate. Look, this is a thing. Thank you for sending that in, and we love rewarding people for doing a bloody good job. And it's something the department needs to actually do more of, I think, because that would raise morale something considerably.
Yep. So yeah, to the serving members and not just coppers, first responders all over the place, and military, we want to hear.
Yep.
Let us know. That's our target market. I mean, anyone who's doing a good job, let us know. That's what we want. But our target market, first responders and military. So if you've got someone who goes above and beyond, just a proper good human who always turns up and always gives it and always looks after others, you let us know, and we'll give them the highly prestigious 2 Ordinary Cops Extra Sauce on the Burger Award, proudly sponsored
Yeah.
by Big Camo's Sauce. Look at us going corporate.
Mate, that was pretty good off the cuff.
Yeah, I like it. Media trained, mate. What do you do?
All right. Well, everybody, we have got some exciting things coming up in the next few weeks. There's some things as always, mate, we're not going to discuss them until they come out. But there's plenty more to come. And look, if you like listening to it, it's probably good. If you hate listening to us, stop listening. It's quite simple.
It's great.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
But yeah, you'll find out those in the coming weeks. And yeah, just understand we're working probably long hours at the moment. It's bloody almost 8 o'clock at night, mate, and we're still going. So, but yeah, everybody, we'll see you all again next week. Unless Damo, you got anything more to add?
All the best.
All right, see you then.